Hi, this is Belinda Colubriale and this is Talking High Performance with Belle. So I'm making this podcast for people who want to live their best life, people who know that there's more in them, but they just don't know how to get it. So there's a gap, something's missing, I'm making it for them. Hey guys, welcome back to episode 7 of Talking High Performance with Belle. I'm really excited to talk to you about this topic today, and I know I say that every week, but I do get really excited about these topics. And today we're talking about stepping out of our comfort zone and how do you live a life of fearless momentum. And there's 2 critical components that I want to talk to you when we talk about living a life of fearless momentum. And the first one is courage. So we need the courage to be brave and, do the things that sometimes can be uncomfortable. And we also need to show up consistently in our actions. And it's when we can harness the power of these 2 together that momentum really starts to build. And so that's what I want to talk to you today. So let's dive in and talk about discovering the power of fearless momentum. So if you like, what you've been hearing, please feel free to head to my website, www.belindacolubriale.com.au/resources and grab yourself a free ebook. So the first thing I want to talk to you today about is the dynamic duo of courage and consistency. And they both work well without the other one, but when we combine them together, that's when the magic really happens. And, consistency is how do we show up every day? How do we, push through those challenges? And how do we do that and create the habits that allow us to grow long term? And so consistency is a really important part. And while you can still be successful without consistency, it's a lot harder. And so why would you want to do that when you can make it easier for yourself? The second part is courage. So, without the bravery of being able to step out of our comfort zone, or without the willingness to recognize what are our fears and what can we do around them, it's really hard again just to develop that fearless momentum and to move forward faster. So the first part of when we talk about developing fearless momentum is to talk about the relationship and the dynamic duo of courage and consistency. So once we know that we need these 2 components, how do we interweave them in order to propel ourselves further? So if you have courage, but you don't have consistency, you're more likely to give up when things get tough. So because you just don't have those habits to support you moving forward. Whereas if you have consistency, but you don't have courage, you're more likely to stop when tough challenges or tough times occur because you're scared. It could be, what are you going to lose, or what's going to happen, or will you be judged? And all of these things can hold us back from building a life of momentum. And yes, we will move, but we'll move a lot slower and we won't reach our full capability. And for me, it's all about, when you look back, in a year's time, you want to know that you've given it your best shot. And you look back and you're not going to say, I was silly when I made that mistake. You're going to look back and go, I should have taken that risk. I wonder what it would have turned out like. And that's why we need courage, and we also need consistency to show up regularly. And the funny thing is that when we need courage, or when we need to be consistent, and when we're facing difficult times, it's really hard to do this. So it's the best thing to do is to practice it day in and day out. When you're feeling good, when you're feeling like you can step out of your comfort zone, when you're feeling more courageous, that's the best time to do it. And you're like building that muscle for when the times get tough, which this will help you move forward faster. So I want to talk about then, how do you incorporate fearless momentum into your everyday life? So how do you make it a habit, and how do you make it a consistent habit where you go, this might be a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm going to face this and I'm going to move forward as best I can and see what happens on the other end. So step 1, as I'm all about the steps, is to speak your truth. So are you consistently expressing your authentic truth? And this can be really hard. And this is constantly, even for myself, something where I'm like, do I push this client on this question? Do I, say this to my kids? Do I allow them to make, their own mistakes, or do I need to step in, and how do I manage that? And I think speaking your truth and speaking your truth in a nice way is really, really important. And it's all about communication. Sometimes you'll get it right and sometimes you won't. But the more openly you can speak your truth, the better you will get at this, and the easier it is to show courage. So that's step 1, and just doing that consistently. Step 2 is activating courage in motion. So this is about the power of deliberate action. So, we've spoken about setting up our morning routines, and it's exactly the same with courage and with consistency, like constantly going, what can I do to stretch myself? What can I do to push myself out of my comfort zone? And how do I put the skills, or how do I put the steps in place in order to do that? So it's going to be uncomfortable. The first podcast episode that I recorded was uncomfortable, and now it's getting better and better, and I love it. But it's a constant work, in progress. And this is with anything in life. Even if you look at elite athletes, it's a constant work in progress, and it's that consistency and that courage to show up on, if we're talking tennis, to show up on the tennis court day in and day out and just perfect those shots. So the second part is activate that courage in motion. And the third part is fuel your fire, or raise your level of necessity. And so what does this mean? This means, if we talk about two fish and they're in different bowls, it's about jumping bowls. Like, you want to get to the other bowl. You don't know if you're going to like it in the other bowl. You're going to be leaving your fish that are swimming, in the first bowl, but you go, you know what, I want more. I want to be more. I want to try and jump. And it's the jump that's scary. So raising your necessity, and keep jumping until you're out of that bowl. Keep jumping until you reach that next bowl and going, okay, what is the reason? Oh, I want to join, Jimmy, the fish in the other bowl. And so we just jump out and go in and give it a go. So fueling your fire, or working out what is your reason, is really, really important. So I want to talk today about what are some self-reflection questions that you can ask yourself for each section. So for each step. So for step 1, speaking your truth, is there someone in your life who maybe you've been holding back from having a conversation with? Is there something that you would like to say, but you haven't been saying? So that's part 1 when we talk speaking your truth. Step 2, when we talk about activating courage in motion, where is an area of your life where you can take bolder action? So where's an area where you go, you know what, if I was 10% better, if I put in 10% more effort, if I reached out to that person, I think I would do a lot better here. And what are some steps that you can do to take that bold action in the next month? So that's step 2. And then when we talk step 3, fueling your fire or raising your necessity, what is something that you want to be doing, or what is something that you wish you were doing that you've either been too scared to do, or that you're not even sure where to start and how to get that result? So what's something you can do? Just one step to move closer towards that. So one step in raising your necessity in that area. And I think self-reflection questions are really good in, just getting us to stop, to think, and then to move forward again. So they're my top 3 steps to create a life of unstoppable momentum by using the courage of power and consistency, and showing you how it can move you forward. So with these 2 traits working together, you can really start to realize your dreams, one fearless moment at a time. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, can't wait to speak to you again next week, where we're going to talk about transformation, how to change things up and stick with it. Until next time, live a successful, purposeful, and fully charged life. Your coach, Bel.